Okay, everyone, another quick video today. This is a rebuild for a Klipsch Forte crossover, and it's called a Forte I. There will be two different types of crossover on these. Some people, you will notice, they have the round terminal cup, and some will have a more rectangular terminal cup. If you have the round one, you have what I like to affectionately call the pile of parts, because it's a pile of parts. Literally everything is just kind of hot glued and stuck to the back of this terminal cup. These are a little harder to rebuild than some of the others because you really have to pay a lot of attention to where each part goes. A little bit later than this, it went to the rectangular terminal cup and a printed circuit board that's considerably easier to rebuild. This one the customer sent to us because they didn't want to rebuild themselves, and that is a service that we provide. This customer was great to go ahead and label the wires so he can tell what they are when he puts them back, because as you can see, they're all the same color. So handy to have that. I do see one other issue with these crossovers pretty typically that people might want to be aware of, and it might make them consider buying new ones. This inductor here for the woofer circuit is a ferrite core, and sometimes these are prone to fracture inside, and also they can come loose. Maybe a reason to consider doing a new crossover instead of rebuilding this one, but if you do want to rebuild it, we can do that. This is what it looks like after a rebuild. This customer used our silver rebuild service, so we replaced these blue capacitors here, the probably originally Mylar caps, with a polypropylene and another electrolytic on the woofer circuit like they had originally. So this is kind of a basic rebuild service we provide here. Let's do a little cap testing and see the difference between these originals. Now, again, I have a lot of people tell me that they can test with their meter capacitance, and they say, well, my caps are still in spec because they test fine on capacitance. And that may be true because capacitance is not typically what fails in a capacitor. It's actually a value called ESR, which this meter cannot measure. But let's see what they look like. So this is a 1.5, which is on this crossover, or took off of this one here that we rebuilt. And we can see that on the capacitance meter here, my Fluke, it measures 1.51 microfarad. So in capacitance, it's still a pretty good cap. But let's look at it as far as ESR goes with our other meter here. And these are kind of special leads. They're called Kelvin leads, and they're made to be a low resistance lead. So we connect that, we see that we're 1.5, this says nanofarad, so we're 1.5 microfarad. But notice we have almost a half an ohm of resistance here. Let's look at what we replaced it with. When you look at a 1.5 microfarad new cap here, again, when this register is back out here, takes it just a moment, we're going to see 1.5 microfarad or 1484 nanofarad, but we have 1.15 ohms of resistance, so much less resistance. That ESR is a critical value, and that would have made this speaker sound somewhat different than it will now as those capacitance values are off. We'll test the other three real quick. Here's the other 1.5, the original. You see again, it has about half an ohm of resistance, or almost 0.6 of an ohm of resistance. Here's the 1 microfarad capacitor. And we're at almost 0.7, or a little over, almost 0.8 of resistance with this cap. This cap's pretty far gone. Capacitance value is still not too far off. ESR is the value that matters. That's something you can't measure with these standard meters. You need an ESR meter for that. That's what we're doing this for.